Thank you, Chairman. I really look forward to the time when we're doing all these hearings in person. We have people around the country that report in person, and I think it's a lot more effective when we do that. Hopefully that will at least go back to a hybrid format that some of the other committees are utilizing. But when we look at the topic, of course, I thank the witnesses for coming, for their participation. And I look forward to hearing from you. But if we're going to take an honest look at the problem of the lack of diversity in the Department of Interior, we need to be honest about how long it's been going on. And it went on right through the Obama administration. It has apparently gone on in Interior for many years, and it wasn't corrected by the Obama administration. I'm glad it's getting attention now, but it shouldn't have taken this long to get attention. As far as the administration's positions, I think it's better to judge them by what they do rather than some terminology that some left-wing extremists came up with. Critical race theory sounds nebulous enough, but actually it promotes a form of racism within itself. We don't need that. We could look to the words of Dr. King himself and look forward, and I so look forward to the time when people are judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Dan Ash, a former Fish and Wildlife Services chief who served during the Obama administration, has himself praised the appointment by President Trump of Brenda Berman is the first woman to lead the Bureau of Reclamation. Dan Ash has praised the appointment of the Fish and Wildlife chief. Tara Sweeney was the first Alaska Native, second woman to serve as the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs. But the first Alaska Native, why did that take so long? Aurelia Skipwith, the first African-American Director of Fish and Wildlife Service. I'm extremely impressed with her. I think she's doing a great job. Look forward to hearing more from her. So, but Dan Ash, the former Fish and Wildlife Services chief, said, in a field where diversity is sorely in need, it is encouraging to see a woman and person of color nominated to important and prominent leadership positions. So not much progress was made during the Obama administration, Obama-Biden administration, but it's great to see that we're starting to make progress in that area during the Trump administration. The Office of Personnel Management published annual reports describing the makeup of the federal government's workforce, including an analysis of the representation of minorities and women present in the executive departments. And it's clear from these reports the Department of Interior has plenty of room to improve, just as it has through the last administration. But for example, for nearly the last 2 decades, the Department of Interior consistently had the lowest employment of Black individuals when compared to other executive departments. In the same time period, the Department of Interior has consistently had the second highest employment of American Indian, Alaska Native employees when compared to those same executive departments. The Department of Interior is actively addressing issues related to the makeup of its workforce and raised the importance of diversity, inclusion, and equity at the July meeting of the newly formed Workplace Culture Transformation Advisory Council. This council was created under the Trump administration in 2019 to effectuate positive changes across the Department of Interior's workplace environment. So there's room to make improvements. Certainly lots of room after the Obama administration, and I'm glad to see improvement is being made. And I appreciate, again, the witnesses being here. Look forward to hearing from you. With that, I yield back.
And then now the chair will recognize our ranking member, Representative Gohmert.
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate your mentioning my COVID. Ironically, I was found to or tested positive about 2 weeks after I started wearing a mask very religiously, much more so. But anyway, I'm quite pleased. If we were sitting by each other, the only thing I could give you was antibodies. And I have given plasma, but I understand this week I can give again. So if anybody needs antibodies, you let me know. I'm O positive and universal. I'll be glad to help you out. But I do appreciate really our witnesses and our comments. And I was struck, Dr. Taylor, you've done a lot of great research on this topic, but your mention of being in a park and people staring at you. I was at it was a local park in Texas, and I admit I was staring because it was a Hispanic family, but it brought tears to my eyes because I was there with my brother-in-law and one other family member. We were just resting, but it was so beautiful that they had their extended family, and I'm thinking, this is the way all of America used to be. And I didn't see any whites, blacks, and I deeply regret that we have gotten so busy in America that too many families don't get together like that. And to me, it's a thing of beauty when a family does get together. I hope there were no ulterior motives, whoever was staring, but it is a thing of beauty, regardless of the color of the skin, when a family really enjoys each other's company. And I'm surprised. I would have said probably we have visits to our national parks in percentages probably mirroring the percentages of different races in America. Dr. Taylor, is that accurate? Do we have visitation to our national parks representative of the way America looks? Oh, you need to unmute. There you go. Yeah, I'm really curious.
Yes, thanks for your question. Unfortunately, we don't in some of the parks.
Really?
And part of it is a cost. Some of them are very expensive. I take about 22 students of color, very culturally mixed, white students of color, to Yellowstone National Park each year as part of my program. It costs us about 25 to 30,000 to run that trip. Very expensive to do it if you're going to go and really enjoy a big park like that. I do appreciate the sentiment of the beauty of the American park system. No place else in the world comes even close to having the kinds of resources that we have set aside for the public. And so the question becomes, how do we get more people out there and more groups? There are lots of Latinx groups, African American groups, Asian groups that are being formed around rock climbing, outdoor hiking, going to the parks, getting kids from the city out into those spaces. When I take my students from the city again out to Yellowstone and they see 2,000 buffalo in the eastern part of the park. If you ever want to see teenagers, drop their phones and have their eyes just totally in awe of that sight, that's what we should be aiming at, and it shouldn't be about having only the wealthy.
Right. Well, we may need to address that at some point, making it more accessible. I've not been to Yellowstone. I look forward to it. My wife has. But I noticed that Ms. Tome had highlighted, Dr. Taylor, some of your findings in her testimony. a little surprising to me, but the 2014, those findings indicated that environmental nonprofit groups only employed about 12% of people of color. I've only got a few seconds, so in the intervening 6 years, has that improved any?
Marginally. So if we look at the very largest environmental organizations, the ones with staffs of over like 200, we do see a small amount of improvement, and we've seen some high-profile hires at the vice president level, even at the presidential CEO level. If we go to mid-size and smaller organizations, we're really seeing a reluctance to hire. I'm currently working on a study where the quotes coming from people are saying things like, we don't hire for diversity. We want qualified candidates. So
Thank you
there's
so much for that.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.